Hello, everyone. I am Luke Reinhardt. Welcome to Closing the Gap, a podcast dedicated to your growth. Brought to you by Wellspring Coaching Services and hosted by myself and my wife, Katie. You know, people have gaps that prevent them from growing. Our goal is to empower you to close those gaps by increasing your awareness, confidence, and clarity. Join us today as we help you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. All right, welcome to Season 1, Episode 14.
Yeah.
Today we're asking the question, is safety good?
Good question.
Interesting question, right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Is safety good? Well, I think safety is good.
Yeah.
But there's a quote I like from Andy Crouch in the book Strong and Weak, and it says that we have to begin in safety in order to flourish, but to cling to it in adulthood would be folly.
Folly's not an often used word.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Foolishness.
Foolishness?
Yeah.
It would be foolish to cling to safety.
Right.
I think we kind of all understand this idea of, no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it be in business or sports. If you don't take risk in life, you're not going to reap any reward.
Right.
Right? So when we think about it in that sense, doing what is right, doing what is good, is not always safe.
No. A lot of times it's not.
Yeah. So if we take it into
well, it depends how we define safety, I guess.
Yeah.
How are we defining safety?
How would you define safety?
Being free of harm.
Free of harm?
Yeah, where there's no harm.
Physically,
emotionally, mentally. Yeah, or mentally, psychologically. Just
would you say free from harm?
Risk-free.
Or free from danger? Because there is kind of a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I think you could use either.
Because danger doesn't always mean harm.
Right. Wow. So there's a progression because how safe are you playing it? I guess it's kind of like a progression. Like I want to be free from harm, or I want to be free from the potential of harm, which is how I would define danger. So how far down the safety line are you going to go?
Right.
And and weighing all things. Like am I protecting myself from emotional safety, and also material safety or physical safety? So it's kind of complicated.
Yeah, I mean, if you think a situation where maybe, you're walking down the street and you see someone being abused, maybe a woman's being abused by a man, and you could do something about it, and you don't because of your own safety.
Right.
Then I think in that situation, I would say you're being a coward.
Well, and psychologically, you may have guilt and shame. So you didn't protect yourself from all the effects and ramifications of that. Because, yes, physically, you might have stayed safe by running the other way. But psychologically, especially if you didn't know the outcome of that situation, you may forever be plagued with the worry or concern that this, I didn't do something and I could have. And that certainly is an emotional safety for you, right? Then you have doubts. You create doubts in your confidence. Like you said, am I a coward? Your identity becomes shifted a little bit. So it gets a little complicated. When you try to play the safety game, if that's your play, it's almost impossible. I mean, I don't know. And also, I think you're under the illusion that you have a lot of control. Right. Which you don't.
Yeah.
We really don't, yeah.
And I mean, in a lot of activities, in order to get really good at them, like let's say you wanted to be a good what do they call it, motocross?
Oh, yeah.
Anything like that. There's obviously a natural risk to
doing it.
being able to do that. So it's not necessarily safe. In order to get good at it, if you're doing like BMX stunts or something like that, even though there's going to be safety precautions put in place, it's still not safe. But in order to get good, you really have to put yourself at risk.
Right.
And be willing to do that.
Right.
Skiing, snowboarding. I mean, any sports like that. MMA, obviously.
Well, I laugh at myself because when we fly, which we don't fly often, but we do, I always want the aisle seat. I don't want the window seat. Why? Because I feel safer. We're on this huge, Boeing jet, and I feel safer somehow in the middle, and I can, run away from the crash. Yeah. What am I thinking? There's no, there's just, so we often create illusions of safety for ourselves, too.
Well, I think that feeling safe is really good. You know what I mean? Because, from a self-defense perspective, I put myself at risk every day through the self-defense training so that I can feel safe when I'm out and about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, it's a training process, but that training process is not safe necessarily.
Right. It's calculated risk, and it's a controlled environment for sure, and that's how you're creating some bit of safety in that because it's a controlled environment.
Yeah, I mean,
but you
can have your, calculated risk, like you're saying. You can make your safety plan and make sure you're training safe and doing things safe, but there's always a risk element
to it.
There's always that there. And at Clinch Academy we have a great community, a very, I would say, safe community, but safe is,
it is a little bit of an illusion. The idea, I think at one point I remember parents saying, oh, I love the environment here. Some parents were saying, I just love it. I can just, my kids can hang out, if I'm doing class, and I feel like the environment's totally safe. And it's I hear that comment, and as a proprietor of a business, you want to be like, oh, yeah, that's great.
That's what we want.
That's what we want. We want you to feel that way. But I do, I felt the obligation to say, listen, no place is perfectly safe. Yeah. Because
a place filled with bodies,
many bodies. Yeah, I just don't disregard your obligation to look over what's happening, to be aware of what's happening. Never turn a blind eye is what I would say, and just say, okay, we're good. Everything's good here. The second you do that, you're really letting an opportunity for danger to creep in. While I think you can put yourself in environments that are relatively safe, and I think that's what they were trying to say in that moment, is that they're saying I feel safe, and I'm saying yes, but it's relative.
Yeah.
We're still a business, and there's still humans coming in, and we don't know all of each other. We don't know if people have bad days or good days or what's happening, but you don't know. You don't know what you don't know if you're not watching too, right? So safety is important to focus on, but also a little bit of illusion.
Yeah. And if your focus is safety, if you're clinging to safety, you're going to find yourself fairly stagnant.
True.
Right?
Right. You can't move if you're staying put. If you're trying to create the bubbled scenario where all the bad is out and all the good and danger-free, risk-free is surrounding me, I can't move. I mean, if you think of that metaphorically, I'm stuck. I'm not moving. I'm not adventuring. I'm not trying new things.
Yeah, I mean, if you take it to its highest level, I mean, you couldn't do anything.
Right.
I mean, going out and driving is not really safe.
Right. Right.
But that's how we get from A to B.
Right. Well, breathing's not safe. There's factories that put pollution out, and what I mean. There's nothing that, since time began, it was never safe.
I mean, we can do our part. So when I'm driving, I can try to drive safe.
Right.
I can follow the rules and drive as safe as I can.
Right.
Eating.
Right.
I can eat as healthy and as safely as I can. But there's things beyond our control still that make eating dangerous. You could choke. You could be eating gluten-free, dairy-free, and then
non-GMO,
and then still choke on it. Right. So
those blueberries got me in the end.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to do things as safely as you can, as healthy as you can.
Yeah, make good choices. Yeah.
But there's always going to be those other elements attached to it. Life is not safe.
Right. And you probably want to mention this, but we were talking about one of our favorite stories of Narnia. Mm-hmm. And there's a line in there where Aslan, who is a lion, and he represents the good, the highest good figure in the story. And they find out, we thought Aslan was like a man, but they find out he's a lion. Mm-hmm. And what's the comment that they make?
Well, they say, is he safe? And he's like, well, who said anything about safe? he's of course he's not safe.
Right.
But he is good.
Yeah.
And there's a difference there. You know what I mean? Like, and we that's what we're saying with to do what is right and to do what is good is not always safe.
Yeah.
In fact, courage is the ability to do what's right even when you're afraid.
Right.
So courage requires fear and an element of risk.
Yeah.
But you know that it's the right thing to do.
Right.
So maybe in that situation again where you saw maybe a woman being abused and it's the right thing to do to step in.
Right.
But that takes courage.
It does.
It's, you might be hesitant and afraid to do it because of your own safety.
Yeah.
But it's a situation where you should step in and defend somebody who can't defend themselves in a particular situation.
Or get help. There's ways to address the situation that are more appropriate than others.
You can make a scene.
Yeah, you can be loud.
Noise, bring attention to it.
Right. There's lots, and it's funny that we're talking about this topic in the way that we are, given the fact that our other business is self-defense, because we do believe in the fact that you can. There's so many benefits to martial arts training, not just self-defense, but the self-defense piece. We do think that there's an element to you can create a level of safety for yourself, or at least mitigate your risk in some sense, and so we're huge proponents of that. And I think actually awareness, is really, like, huge. We come back to this all the time, but awareness. If that's the only thing you got from everything we've said over, these podcasts and from here forward, is just being aware of what's going on. So you might not be able to create this perfect safe scenario, but be aware of what's happening. Look and see what's right in front of you and research and understand and become knowledgeable about, if I have some knowledge of how a perpetrator might attack me, I can sort of make a game plan. And then I can sort of practice that game plan. Oh, well, if they grab me here, I can do this. And if they grab me around my waist, I can do this. And if they grab my wrist, I can just do this quick maneuver. And so I feel I don't go running through dark alleys at night by myself, because that would be foolish. But I feel if there's someone around me, just even the confidence that I have, in all of my 5'6" stature, I mean, I'm not huge, but I can know that there's some possibility I could defend myself in a situation if I got unwanted attention, you know? And that creates a level of confidence that also deters villains in a sense too,
Sure. Having awareness deters villains.
Totally.
Just paying attention. Having your head up.
Yeah.
Your eyes looking about,
Yeah.
That's not what they're going for.
But scenario, I have to get to my car's in a parking garage. I'm the lone soul walking back by myself. At least I think I am. And it's dark. There's no one around. But I need to get home, right? There's an I need to get home. My children are at home, or I need to be somewhere. I could, be scared to death to even enter that scenario. Or maybe I needed to go out for some purpose and had to park in that parking garage to begin with, late at night, dark, isolated. When I go in those scenarios, if I have to go out and I try to park under a light. I try to use conventional wisdom, be around people. I might have someone on the phone with my phone open, depending on how high the risk is. I might call you or have the phone line open so that I'm walking in here, whatever. So we can take precautions. And so there's nothing wrong with precautions. But I think the point that's coming up today is too strong an emphasis on safety is going to create lack of movement and, stagnation.
Yeah. And if you're whether it be self-defense or any other sport that might be a little risky or dangerous, or
relationships.
Yeah, many things that we do in life. It's kind of working towards perfecting those things can make them more safe.
Yeah.
But once again, there's just always those outside elements. I mean,
right.
You can get really good at self-defense.
Yeah.
Right? But then, you know, the time might come where you just get hit behind the head. You never even saw it coming.
Right. Or they have a gun.
Yeah. I mean, there's many other factors that you just can't deal with and you can't predict.
Right.
That, you know, could wipe away all that self-defense experience.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
Learning and getting good at things to increase awareness, to increase knowledge, can increase safety.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
But once again, safety is not always the most important thing. And I think that's the main thing right here. Is safety good? I think safety, yes, is good. But what is good is not always safe.
Ah, I like that.
And so we have to think that through a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the greater good involves great risk to yourself. We think of the great work that firemen do every day, that police officers do every day.
They put their lives on the line.
Yeah, these public defenders that are out there really protecting us. You know, they're our guardians, and they're putting their life on the risk. Did I say that right? They're putting their life at risk.
At risk.
Every day. Yes. Yeah, just for our greater good and to fulfill a need in society.
Yeah.
And that's super important. If they were worried about safety, we would all be at greater risk too, right?
And these are all, I think, easy examples, but personal growth, growth in relationship, that's not safe.
No,
you know?
No.
Personal growth is this process of dying to yourself, really.
Yeah.
Right? It's a process of letting go of some of these things that you feel are safe.
Yeah.
And becoming more vulnerable at times.
Yeah.
In order to be exposed to new things, or in order to just grow in character.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we talk about in coaching is that within the coaching relationship, if I'm the coach and you were the client, you granting all the power to our relationship. I'm here fully supportive of your journey, and I'm here with the skill set of coaching. But in terms of how far you grow in that coaching process and how far you get into movement, is really all in your hands, because it's how much power you're going to grant to the relationship.
Yeah.
How vulnerable will you be? How much are you going to work the plan? You know, what are you going to put into it? It's the sowing and reaping principle, basically. Yeah. But it's interesting because it does require a level of stepping out of where you're fearful, where you feel safe. We call it the terror barrier. Often you get to week 3 or 4 of coaching. You've identified what the main issue is that's holding back or creating the stuckness, and now it's like, okay, you're gonna have to move through the terror. We call it like the terror barrier, this wall that feels very uncomfortable. And a lot of times people are like, I don't know if I really need to keep. You know, you get this a lot of resistance. But when we prep clients beforehand to say this is going to come up, so just be aware of it, and that tends to, help really kind of soften that. And being aware of that process, that we all, whenever we're in new territory, our bodies and brains were designed to like alert, there's danger here. But we need, as humans, because we have this great frontal lobe and this great, higher level of thinking, to be able to say, you know what, I do realize that's risky, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. Because it's for good.
I think that it's, we make a lot of decisions based on safety and comfort.
Right. Comfort maybe more than,
We don't want to step out of our comfort zone, which is really like a safety zone, a personal safety zone. Like, I don't feel safe when I do that. Yeah. I'm not comfortable with that, And, we got to pay attention to that, evaluate it. And if it's restricting our personal growth, then I think we're not necessarily doing the right thing by clinging to safety and comfort.
It's not serving.
At that point.
Yeah. So that's the question you can ask yourself, just listening to a podcast today, thinking through, where am I being a little too safe? Where can I push forward? Where can I take a little bit of risk? On the flip side, just as like a buffer to this too, Some of us are wired to take great risk all the time.
Yeah.
We love the feedback that we get in terms of adrenaline and maybe a sense of power, or, you know, just whatever that is, the excitement, the aliveness factor of that. So also, you know, if you tend to, we've spent most of the time talking about staying in the safety zone, but for those of us who tend to lean into risk, high risk, hey, what's really going on there, you know, and should I pull back and sort of be a little bit more cautious? What's the greater good here? I think that's the question we're inviting you into.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us today, you guys. Ask yourself and think about whether, you know, is safety good?
Is safety good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember that what is good is not always safe.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining.
Until next time, take these things, guys. We hope you can use them to get from where you are to where you want to be.